All right, so you're prepping for a midwife interview and wanting sure you totally nail it. That's where this deep dive comes in.
Exactly.
We've got a bunch of resources from RoleCatcher career guides, sample interview questions, and we'll even touch on how AI can give you that extra little boost.
Sounds good.
Ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's start with a question that seems super basic, but it's one you really don't want to mess up. Why did you choose to become a midwife? It's pretty much a guaranteed question,
Yeah,
right?
oh, yeah. You're going to get that one almost every time.
Yeah.
It's your big chance to show them your passion,
Yeah.
but also to connect that passion with what being a midwife is really all about.
So it's not just about saying, I love babies.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
It's got to be deeper than that. Think about what really sparked that interest for you. Was it something personal? Did you have a midwife who inspired you? Have you always pictured yourself supporting women through this huge life event?
So it's about finding that personal connection that makes your story unique.
Exactly. And remember to tie it back to what makes a great midwife. Are you drawn to that whole holistic approach? The focus on empowering women, being an advocate for women's health, weaving those things into your answer shows you've really thought about what this career means.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
What if they follow up with something like, what are some challenges you anticipate facing as a midwife?
That's where they're trying to see if you understand the realities of the job. It's not always easy.
So how do you handle that one?
Honesty is key. Be realistic. You could talk about the emotional toll it can take, supporting families through tough times, the long hours, the unpredictable schedule, the need to constantly be learning and keeping up with new research. But always balance it out by highlighting how you plan to deal with those challenges. You're resilient. You're adaptable. You're a lifelong learner, right?
Absolutely. Now let's move beyond the why and talk about safety. That's at the core of midwifery. And I'm sure interviewers want to be confident that you can handle the pressure. A question like, how do you ensure the safety of both mother and baby during labor and delivery is bound to come up.
Oh, for sure. That's a big one. This is where you really showcase your clinical knowledge and your experience. They need to see that you can monitor those vital signs, recognize any potential complications, and respond quickly and appropriately.
So walk them through your process.
Exactly. Think about those key stages of labor and how you'd assess both mom and baby at each stage. Highlight your understanding of things like fetal monitoring, pain management techniques, emergency procedures. You want to show that you have that solid foundation of knowledge and that you're comfortable making tough decisions when things get intense.
And I bet real-life examples make a big difference.
Oh, they absolutely do. Instead of just saying, I'd monitor the fetal heart rate, talk about a specific time from your clinical rotations where you noticed a change in the heart rate, how you figured out what it meant, and what steps you took because of it.
That's where those clinical experiences really shine. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. More and more women are opting for natural childbirth. How would you approach a question like, tell me about your experience with and perspective on natural childbirth?
This is a great opportunity to show that you understand and respect this approach. They want to see that you know about different pain management techniques, that you're comfortable supporting women who want to labor without medication, and that you're sensitive to their individual needs and preferences.
It's more than just saying I support natural childbirth, though.
Right. You need to go deeper. What specific techniques are you familiar with? Have you worked with water births, hypnobirthing, doulas?
And how do you balance supporting a woman's wish for a natural birth with making sure both mom and baby are safe? That seems like a tricky area.
It can be. This is where clear communication and informed consent are so important. Explain how you'd work with the mother to create a birth plan that honors her wishes, while also being upfront about situations where medical interventions might be necessary.
This reminds me of something in RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They talked about how important patient advocacy is. Being a midwife isn't just about the medical stuff. It's about really listening to and supporting your patients.
100%. It's all about building trust, being a source of information and support, and helping women make informed choices about their care.
Now, speaking of difficult situations, what about those deliveries that don't go according to plan? I'm sure interviewers want to know you can handle the pressure of a complex case. How would you approach a question like, describe a time when you had to deviate from a birth plan due to unexpected complications?
This one is all about showing you can think on your feet, stay calm under pressure, and make good clinical judgments. Share a specific example from your rotations or past work experience where you faced a really challenging situation. Talk about how you assessed it, what steps you took, and how you communicated with both the mother and the medical team.
They're looking for someone who can solve problems, who can stay level-headed when things change.
Exactly. And it's a chance to highlight those communication and teamwork skills. Did you work well with other healthcare professionals? How did you keep the mother informed and involved in the decisions?
So it's about showing that you can handle the unpredictable nature of birth, while always prioritizing the well-being of mom and baby.
That's a great way to put it. You have to show them you're ready for anything.
Okay, before we move on, I'm curious, how does RoleCatcher's AI fit into all of this, especially when you're prepping for these kinds of questions?
Oh, that's a good question. It's like having your own personal interview coach in your pocket. It can look at specific job descriptions and figure out exactly what skills and experience they're looking for. And then it suggests ways to tailor your answers to really highlight those strengths. It's like a secret weapon to help you stand out.
So it's not about feeding you canned responses. It's about
Yeah.
helping you personalize your answers to match the specific job.
Exactly. And it can even give you feedback on how you're delivering your answers, helping you refine your pacing, your tone, even your body language. It's all about helping you be the best, most confident version of yourself in that interview.
Welcome back. We've been digging into some common midwife interview questions and figuring out how to craft answers that really show off your skills and experience. It's pretty amazing how much depth there is to even the simple-sounding ones.
Totally. Each question is a chance to prove you're not only qualified, but also passionate and committed to giving amazing care. Let's tackle another one you might get. How do you approach providing culturally competent care to diverse populations?
That's a really important one.
Yeah,
Midwives need to be so aware of their patients' cultural beliefs and practices.
absolutely. Interviewers want to see that you get it. You respect different perspectives, you adapt your care to meet individual needs, and you advocate for equal access to health care.
So it's not just about saying, I'm culturally sensitive.
Nope, not even close. They want real examples of how you've put those values into action. Have you worked with patients from different backgrounds? What about situations where a patient's cultural beliefs might clash with what you'd recommend medically?
Okay, that sounds tricky. How do you navigate that?
It's all about communication and finding solutions. You start by acknowledging and respecting the patient's beliefs. Then you explain your medical recommendations clearly and why they matter. It's about balancing respect for tradition with the safety and well-being of mom and baby.
That makes sense. It's about finding that middle ground and working together to find a solution that works for everyone.
Exactly. And it can be helpful to pull from your own experiences. Maybe you had a patient who really wanted a specific birthing practice, and you found a way to make it work while still following safety guidelines.
Sharing those real-life examples makes a big difference. It shows you can handle those sensitive situations with understanding.
You want to show them you're a compassionate and culturally aware healthcare provider.
Now, I know pregnancy and childbirth can be such emotional roller coasters. And I imagine interviewers are looking for that emotional intelligence in a midwife. What kind of question might they ask to gauge that?
Oh, definitely. Emotional support is so key in midwifery. Something like, how do you handle the emotional needs of women during pregnancy and postpartum? That's a good way to see how empathetic you are and how well you communicate.
So what are they hoping to hear in response to that one?
They want to know you're a good listener, that you can connect with your patients, and that you can offer emotional support when things get tough. What if they dig deeper and ask for a specific example? Tell me about a time when you had to support a patient through a really difficult emotional experience.
Ah, now they're really getting into it.
This is where you share a story. Maybe a time when you helped a patient cope with anxiety or fear, or even postpartum depression. Talk about how you listened to her, provided reassurance and support, maybe connected her with other resources if she needed them.
It's about showing you can be present, compassionate, and truly there for your patients.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of simply being there. Lending an ear, offering comfort.
Speaking of being present, midwifery is always changing. How do you stay on top of the latest research and best practices? I bet interviewers are curious about that.
Absolutely. They want to know you're dedicated to learning and keeping up with your field. How do you show that? Highlight any professional development you do. Conferences, workshops, online courses. Do you read journals? Participate in online forums.
And what if they ask, tell me about a recent development in midwifery that you found interesting?
That's a great chance to show off your curiosity and how you stay informed. Think of a research study maybe, a new guideline, or even a new technology. Explain why it grabbed your attention and how it could impact your work.
You're proving you're not just going through the motions, you're actively learning and incorporating new knowledge into your practice.
Exactly. Midwifery is dynamic, and showing that commitment to lifelong learning is going to impress them.
Okay, before we move on, let's circle back to RoleCatcher's AI tools. We talked about how it helps tailor your CV. Can it help with interview prep too?
For sure. Remember, RoleCatcher isn't just about information. It's about putting that information to work. Their AI can analyze specific job descriptions and pick out the keywords and skills employers really want.
It's like having a personal assistant to highlight what's most important for each job.
Right. And then it can suggest tweaks to your answers, making sure you're hitting those key points and showing off the most relevant skills.
That's pretty amazing. It takes away the guesswork of tailoring your responses.
And there's more. RoleCatcher's AI can also give you feedback on your delivery. Practice answering questions and get insights into your pacing, your tone, even your body language.
Whoa, that's like a virtual coach giving you real-time feedback. Does it look at the content of your answers too?
You bet. It can analyze how clear and concise your responses are. And if they're actually relevant to the question, it's like having another set of eyes and ears helping you polish your answers.
That sounds like a game changer for anyone prepping for a midwife interview. It's like having a whole support system to help you shine.
Exactly. And speaking of support systems, let's talk about teamwork. Midwifery is rarely a solo act.
No way. You're part of a big team, working with doctors, nurses, doulas, all kinds of healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
So how do you answer something like, describe your approach to teamwork and collaboration in a healthcare setting?
This is where you show off how well you communicate, how you respect different opinions, and how you work towards a shared goal. Think about times you've collaborated well with other healthcare professionals. What about a time when you disagreed with a colleague about a patient's care? How did you deal with that?
That's a good one.
It's about showing you can handle conflict in a professional way. Describe the situation. Focus on how you kept communication open. Listen to the other person's side and work together to find a solution that put the patient first.
You're showing that you're a team player, someone who can handle those tough situations gracefully.
And that you always prioritize the patient's well-being.
Before we wrap up this section, I'm curious. We've been focusing on specific questions, but are there any general tips for really nailing a midwife interview?
Great question. Beyond prepping for the questions, your overall attitude matters. Dress professionally. Be on time. Show enthusiasm and stay engaged.
It's about making a good impression.
Exactly. Show them you're passionate about midwifery, you're eager to learn and grow, and you're genuinely excited about the opportunity. And remember, an interview goes both ways. Don't be afraid to ask questions about the role of the team, the organization's culture. It shows you're thoughtful.
That's great advice. It's not just about answering their questions. It's about showing them who you are and what you bring to the table.
Exactly. Authenticity and enthusiasm go a long way.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about prepping for those interview questions and how AI can even help us polish our answers.
It's all about giving you the tools to really shine in that interview.
Right, but there's another big piece of the puzzle, the money side of things.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's great to nail the interview and get the job. But you also want to make sure you're getting a fair offer. What does RoleCatcher have to say about that?
RoleCatcher is amazing for this. They've got tons of info on salary expectations for midwives. Plus, they break it down by experience, location, type of employer, even specific responsibilities.
So you can really get a good sense of what to expect.
Exactly. And they also cover benefits packages, which can be a huge part of your overall compensation.
It's not just about the base salary. It's the whole picture. Health insurance, retirement contributions, time off. All those perks that make a difference.
Totally. So let's say you've done your research using RoleCatcher. You aced the interview. You got the offer. Now what?
Now comes the exciting part, figuring out if it's a good offer, one that aligns with what you're worth and your career goals.
Right. Take a deep breath. Congratulate yourself. It's a big deal to get to this point. Now let's break down how to evaluate that offer.
Okay. Where do we start?
First, compare the salary they offered to the data from RoleCatcher. Is it in the expected range for your experience and location?
And don't forget cost of living. That can make a huge difference.
Right. A big salary might not go as far in a city where everything's super expensive.
So the salary looks good. What about those benefits?
Benefits can make or break a deal. So look closely at the health insurance. What's the coverage? Deductibles? Copays? What about retirement contributions? Are they matching? What percentage?
And what about time off? That's important to me.
Absolutely. Don't be shy about asking about vacation policies, sick leave, parental leave.
This reminds me of what we talked about earlier, advocating for yourself. Yeah. It's just as important now as it was during the interview.
Definitely. Negotiating a job offer is totally normal. Most employers expect it. It's your chance to make sure you're getting a package that really works for you.
Okay, so let's talk negotiation. I'm a little nervous about that part.
I get it. It can be intimidating. But remember, they liked you enough to make an offer. That's huge. Now it's just about having a professional conversation to find an agreement that benefits both sides.
So how do you do that without seeming pushy?
Start by being enthusiastic, thank them for the offer.
Ah.
Then you can politely bring up the parts of the package you'd like to discuss.
So instead of saying the salary's too low, you might say something like, based on my experience in research, I was hoping for something closer to this range.
Exactly. Have reasons ready to support your request. Highlight your skills, your accomplishments, any special certifications or training.
You're showing them your value, proving that you're worth the investment.
And don't just focus on salary. You can negotiate vacation time, professional development opportunities,
Yeah.
even flexible work arrangements.
So it's about building a package that really fits your needs and your long-term goals.
Exactly. And remember, it's a conversation. Be ready to listen, be flexible, be willing to compromise. You're trying to find a solution that works for everyone.
It's a collaboration, not a fight.
Right. And even if you don't get everything you wanted, the fact that you negotiated professionally shows you're confident and you know your worth.
It makes a good impression.
So to wrap up our deep dive on the financial side, do your research, know your worth, and don't be afraid to negotiate.
RoleCatcher is there for you every step of the way, with data insights and even negotiation tips to help you through this whole process.
And remember, finding the right job isn't just about the money. It's about finding a role that fits your values, your passions, and your long-term goals.
So as you start your midwife career, be prepared, be confident, be yourself, and go after what you deserve.
And never forget what's at the heart of this profession, supporting women and families through this incredible life experience.
That's a great note to end on. We hope this deep dive has helped you feel more prepared and confident to ace that interview and find that dream job.
Good luck. We're rooting for you.